Hello, my dear students. Before I go into my video lectures, I would first like to introduce. I have already introduced in my first video. I'm Indira. I'm from Botany faculty. I have got experience in various institutes for coaching for NEET for about a span of 25 years. So I started this channel recently by observing all the other previous channels or previous videos in the NEET syllabus. So what I thought is there is a need for giving a detailed explanation of each and every topic of NCERT syllabus to the students. So what I'm doing in my videos is I'm making it as far as possible like a classroom lecture, and so that I'm discussing each and every topic in detail. So this kind of discussion I feel will be definitely useful for all the students of 11th and 12th class who are appearing for their board exam as well as for the NEET exam. So, my dear children, I want you to get the maximum benefit of my lectures and videos. I also recommend if anything else you want to ask or you need anything else, definitely I'll come to your help. And but for that you need to subscribe and share to maximum number of your friends so that you can get my videos regularly. And I think when you subscribe a bell icon will appear, and you have to press the bell icon so that you will get all notifications of my future videos. Thank you very much, children. So now let me continue with my topic. In my last lecture, last video, I was discussing about the secondary growth in dicot stem, and I started with the intrastellar secondary growth. That is, intrastellar is the secondary growth taking place in the stellar region. That is called as a intrastellar secondary growth. So, continuation of that, the second part of the topic, that is called as extrastellar changes or extrastellar secondary growth. So, why extrastellar takes place, or what is extrastellar? So secondary growth taking place outside this steel is called as extrastellar secondary growth. So what is the need for extrastellar secondary growth? The need for extrastellar secondary growth is because a pressure is exerted within the stellar region. Within the stellar, in the stellar region, if we observe, the vascular bundles are present, and the secondary growth is taking place within the vascular bundles. Their volume is increasing, and in my last lecture we discussed that secondary xylem or wood is formed inside the steel. That increases volume within the steel. So when it increases volume within the steel, it causes a pressure outside. What is the outermost layer? Outermost layer is called as epidermis. Outermost layer is called as epidermis. So it exerts a complete pressure on epidermis. So as a result, it ruptures. It ruptures. When epidermis ruptures, in its place a new layer is formed, a new protective layer. You know that epidermis is a protective layer, and it is found in all primary structures. So when secondary growth is taking place, especially when extrastellar changes are taking place in secondary growth, the outer epidermis will rupture, and in its place a new protective layer is formed. That new protective layer is called as a periderm. That new protective layer is called as a periderm. So now we will see how exactly the secondary growth outside the steel takes place. That is extrastellar changes or extrastellar secondary growth. So for that, the first step in extrastellar growth, the first step is formation of formation of cork cambium. Formation of cork cambium. What is the first step? Formation of cork cambium. So cork cambium is a meristematic tissue. Just like we have studied, a vascular cambium is formed in the stellar region during intrastellar changes. Similarly, during extrastellar changes, another meristematic tissue is formed. This is also a secondary meristem. Another meristematic tissue is formed, which is called as a cork cambium. This cork cambium, it is formed from outer cortical cells. Outer cortical cells. Cortical means cortex. You know the stem has outer epidermis and below that there is a cortex. So outer layers of cortex. Outer layers of cortex means which are more closer to epidermis. So outer layers of cortex will give rise to cork cambium. Normally cork cambium consists of a couple of layers thick. Cork cambium is, what is thickness of cork cambium? It is a couple of layers. Couple means generally 2 layers of thickness it shows. So cork cambium will show a 2-layered structure. It is 2 layers in thickness. Cork cambium, or it is also called as a phellogen. Cork cambium is also called as phellogen. So this cork cambium will start dividing now. When cork cambium starts dividing, this cork cambium, just like vascular cambium, will start producing cells. So we will just look into the diagram here. So when cork cambium divides, it produces some cells towards inner side and some towards the outer side. The cells which are formed towards the inner side, these are called as secondary cortex. Secondary cortex, or it is called as a phelloderm. Secondary cortex or phelloderm. Remember, cork cambium, we named it as a phellogen. And when cork cambium divides, it gives rise to the cells towards inner side, which is called as a secondary cortex. And the cells which are towards the outer side, it is called as a cork or phellum. It is called as cork or phellum. Now, what is cork cambium giving rise to? Cork cambium is giving rise to the cells towards outer side and also cells towards the inner side. Now, 3 layers are present. So, what are those 3 layers which are present? One is called as a cork, or it is also called as a phellum, and then cork cambium, which is also called as a phellogen, and the 3rd layer is called as secondary cortex. 3rd layer is called as a secondary cortex. So all these 3 together, cork cambium and secondary cortex, all 3 together is named as periderm. All 3 layers together is named as periderm. This periderm is the outer protective structure which is formed during extrastellar changes. Now we will see about little bit details about what is periderm and details of the different layers of periderm. So now we know periderm consists of how many layers? It consists of 3 layers. First layer formed is the cork cambium or phellogen, which is formed from the outer cortical cells. The cork cambium is a meristematic tissue and it is completely secondary meristem. Earlier I told you what is secondary meristem. Secondary meristem is one which is formed due to dedifferentiation of permanent cells. And what are permanent cells here? The permanent cells from which cork cambium is formed is the cells of hypodermis or outer cortical cells. Those are the permanent cells from which cork cambium is formed, and that process is called as differentiation. These definitions earlier you must have come across. It is called as differentiation. And this cork cambium will form secondary cortex towards inside, cork towards outside. All three we are calling it as a peridome. Now let us see in detail the different layers of peridome. So first I will start with the what is cork. What is cork and what is it made up of. So let us see first what is a cork. Cork is a dead tissue which is formed towards outside. It is formed towards outside. From the cork cambium, it is formed towards outside. It is a dead tissue. Dead cells means which do not have any protoplasm. Only cell wall is present. And the cell wall here consists of the substance called suberin. Cell wall consists of a substance called suberin. They are dead cells and cell wall consists of a substance called as suberin. And now the cork, generally it is formed in more amount compared to the other tissue. What is the other tissue? I told you it is a secondary cortex. Compared to other tissue, the cork tissue is formed in more amount. There are some uses and there are some properties of cork. So what are those properties of cork? First property, cork is compressible. First property, cork is compressible. Compressible means it can be easily pressed. It can be pressed so that its size may decrease. That is called compressible. The second property is called as it is resilient. Resilient. Resilient means once we apply pressure, it gets compressed. Once we release it, it comes back to its original form. That means opposite of compressible. That is called as a resilient. So it is compressible, it is resilient, and it is light. Light in weight. Light means it is light in weight. And it is also porous. It has small pores present. It is porous. And it also has thermal insulating property. It also has a thermal insulating property. So what are all the properties? It is compressible, it can be easily pressed. Resilient, when it is released, it comes back to its original form. Light in weight, porous, it has small pores, and also thermal insulating properties. Thermal insulating properties means it will not allow any heat to pass through. These are the important properties of a cork. Now, what is the, from which plant it is obtained or which cork is commercially useful? Cork, commercial cork is obtained from a plant called as Quercus suber. Commercial cork is obtained from a plant called as Quercus suber. Commonly, this is called as a oak tree. Commonly, it is called as a oak tree. This is the commercial source of cork. Now, what is the use of cork? Cork normally is used as bottle stopper. In day-to-day life, if we observe, the cork is used as a bottle stopper, means a lid. Like we find in many lab reagents, we find the bottles, reagent bottles in the chemistry labs. We find it is covered by a cork lid. It is closed by a cork lid. Similarly, in many medicine bottles, we find it is sealed with a thin sheet of cork. So, cork will not allow any water to pass through. It is suberin. It is made up of suberin. Because it has a suberin in the cell wall, it will not allow any water to pass through. But it will allow air to pass through. It will not allow water to pass through. So therefore, it is also used as a for sealing of any bottles, sealing of any as a sealing material. It is used for bottles. That is the use of the cork and about the cork. So what is the other name of cork? Cork is also called as a vellum. Okay. Now the next part, if we take the next part, let us see about what exactly is the cork cambium. I will give you some details about what is cork cambium. Cork cambium, it is also called as phellogen. Cork cambium is also called as a phellogen, and it is formation, already I told you. Formation, it is formed from the hypodermal cells or the outer layers of the cortex, and this is completely secondary meristem. It is completely secondary meristem. We already discussed vascular cambium is partly primary and partly secondary, because it is formed from one primary meristem and one secondary meristem, both. But here it is completely secondary meristem. It is formed only during secondary growth. That's why it is completely secondary meristem. And it is couple of layers. That means it is normally made up of 2 layers. And another very important difference with respect to vascular cambium is cork cambium is formed in many times. It is either once or more than once also. So it is formed once or more than once in the lifetime of a plant. So it is cork cambium. What is its formation? It is formed once or more than once in the lifetime of a plant. So, but vascular cambium is formed only once in the lifetime of a plant, and only one vascular cambium will help in the entire secondary growth. But cork cambium can be formed either once, or it can be formed more than once also. That is the important feature of the cork cambium. Now let us see the third part of the periderm. That is called as a secondary cortex. The third part is called as a secondary cortex, or the other name of secondary cortex, it is also called as a phelloderm. Secondary cortex, or it is also called as a phelloderm. Now, the amount of secondary cortex formed is less than that of cork. The amount formed is less than cork. Amount formed is less than that of the cork, and it is a living tissue. Cork, we discussed it as a dead tissue. Here this is a living tissue and parenchymatous in nature. Living tissue and it is parenchymatous. That means it is made up of parenchyma. You know, a parenchyma will have intercellular spaces, loosely arranged tissue and intercellular spaces. And another feature, this is also chlorenchymatous. It is also chlorenchymatous. Understand this word, chlorenchymatous. Chlorenchymatous means a parenchyma with chloroplast. That means if chloroplasts are present, this is also, it can perform photosynthesis. So, once again, if we look at what is secondary cortex, it is also called as phelloderm. It is formed towards inner side of the cork cambium. and the amount formed is less than that of the cork, and it is a living tissue, living parenchymatous tissue, and it is also chlorenchymatous. Chlorenchymatous is it has a chloroplast, and it also helps in photosynthesis. It gradually disintegrates. It gradually disintegrates. That means it gradually disappears as the secondary growth is taking place. It gradually disappears. And it is filled with more and more layers of dead tissue. So it is only temporarily present, and once the secondary growth is continuing, this gradually will disintegrate or disappear. That is the what is secondary cortex. So all three together we are calling it as a periderm. Now there are some other structures also are formed on the periderm. Let us see the other structures which are formed on the periderm. The first structure which we are going to discuss is called as a lenticell. Lenticels. Here I have explained in a diagram how the lenticels can be formed and what is the structure. First let us see what is a lenticell. Lenticell is defined as it is a lens-shaped opening present on periderm. It is formed on periderm. Lens-shaped opening formed on the periderm. So what is the use of this lens-shaped opening or lenticell? It is present in a place where already stomata are present. So it is present in the place of stomata. It is present in the place of stomata. Stomata, you know, it is present in the primary structure. So in place of stomata, it is replaced by another structure called as lenticell. All of you know what is stomata. Stomata mainly helps in exchange of gases and also transpiration. These two are main functions of stomata. Exactly the same even lenticell performs. Lenticell also helps in, first primary function of lenticell is exchange of gases. Primary function of lenticell is exchange of gases, and second function, it is also involved in transpiration. You know transpiration is the excretion of water in the form of vapor. So lenticells also perform transpiration. That topic of course separately we will discuss. I am going to discuss in detail in another video. What is transpiration and what is the role of lenticell, what is role of stomata, and all that separately we will discuss in another lesson. So, but here what you have to understand is lenticell performs two main functions, that is exchange of gases and transpiration. Now where exactly the lenticells are formed? So I explained to you, I told you lenticell is a lens-shaped opening. So it appears externally as a lens-shaped structure. So inner part of lenticell, if we observe, it consists of a loosely arranged parenchymatous tissue. So what does a lenticell consist of? A lenticell consists of loosely arranged parenchymatous tissue. And this loosely arranged parenchymatous tissue forms the cells. It consists of the cells called as complementary cells. So what are complementary cells? They are loosely arranged parenchymatous cells. Remember the word I am using is parenchymatous. So you should know what is parenchyma. Parenchyma means it is made up of living cells. That is the meaning of parenchyma, you should all remember. So complementary cells are parenchymatous. That means, what do you understand? It is a living cell. And These are non-suberized cells. Non-suberized means they do not have any suberin. They are non-suberized cells. They are parenchymatous living and they are non-suberized cells. And what is their origin? They are formed from cork cambium. They are formed from cork cambium. So in some places cork cambium will develop these complementary cells, and when the complementary cells develop, in those places what happens? We can also find epidermis. So the epidermis in that place completely ruptures and it opens outside as a lens shaped opening that we are calling it as a lenticelle. So in short, once again I will tell you what happens and how a lenticelle are formed. In some places cork cambium will divide and give rise to loosely arranged parenchyma cells, which are living cells and non-suberized cells. These loosely arranged parenchyma cells, they exert some pressure on the outer epidermis and that ruptures and that opens outside as a lens shaped opening, which is called as a lenticelle. That is what is the structure of lenticelle. Functions already I mentioned. What are the important functions of lenticelle? Now, another structure which is formed during the extrastellar changes, extrastellar secondary growth, is another structure formed is called as a bark. Bark is generally a very common term which all of you must be knowing what is a bark. Bark generally we find on the outer side of the tree. We can identify a bark. Now what exactly means the meaning of bark? What is the technical meaning of bark? So technically how do we define bark? So bark can be defined as all the tissues which are present outside vascular cambium. All the tissues which are present outside vascular cambium. Remember, the word of vascular cambium is very important. All the tissues present outside the vascular cambium. If you have already know what is intracellular secondary growth, students, you will be knowing what are all the tissues. So, a rough diagram I can give. So, suppose this is vascular cambium. Just immediately outside we find secondary phloem. Immediately outside the vascular cambium we can find secondary phloem. Outside the secondary phloem, what do we find? We can also find pericycle. If you are not thorough with the structure of dicot stem, please revise. Then you will know all the parts. So, secondary phloem and pericycle. And then outside the pericycle forms the outermost layer of the stele. Outside the pericycle, we find endodermis, cortex and all. But normally what happens, all these tissues will disappear, like pericycle may disappear and even endodermis will disappear. So finally in the bark, it consists of two important parts, two tissues. So what are they? Bark consists of secondary phloem and periderm. Secondary phloem and periderm. We can give these two tissues. For any examination purpose, suppose you get a question on what is a bark and what are its components. Definition, how will you identify? You will identify definition as this. All the tissues present outside the vascular cambium. Suppose you get a question on what is the composition of the bark, then very confidently you can give secondary phloem and periderm. So periderm already we discussed what are the different components of periderm. Now there are two types of bark. Bark is made up of two types. One is called as, first type is called as early bark. Early bark. Early bark means which is found in the early season. early in the season. That means in the beginning of the year. You know, the secondary growth starts in spring season and then it continues in autumn season. So bark formed early in the season, that is called as early bark, and it is a soft bark. Early bark is a soft bark. And late bark, bark formed in the late in the season, later when it is formed, then it is called late bark, and it is a hard bark. It is hard bark. Sometimes, if many layers of bark are formed, if you remember my earlier point, I told you that cork cambium can be formed in many layers, not just one layer, one time, but cork cambium can also be formed more than once. If it forms more than once, then we find many layers of bark are formed. When many layers of bark are formed in one season, when many layers of bark are formed during secondary growth. How many layers are formed? When secondary growth is progressing, when secondary growth is taking place, many layers of bark can be formed because many layers of cork cambium can also be formed. Now, this many layers of bark is explained by using another term, a simple term, just only meaning you should remember. It is called as a rhytidome. It is called as a rhytidome. Remember the word rhytidome. To understand this, if you just see the video once, you may not understand. If you are confused with the term, once again you must see. So what is rhytidome? When many layers of bark are formed, then it is called as a rhytidome. So I gave you what is the difference between a bark and a rhytidome. Now lastly, I'll give you what is the examples of bark. A well-known examples you all must be studying right from the schools. The well-known examples of bark we find. I'll give you two examples of bark which we use commercially also. First example, all of you know it, is the bark from this plant, Cinnamomum zeylanica. Cinnamomum zeylanica. Cinnamomum zeylanica. Remember all, since as a science student always I tell my students you have to know the scientific name. You have to try to remember the scientific name. So what is Cinnamomum zeylanica? It is cinnamon. Cinnamon. Cinnamon commonly dalchini. Dalchini, we know, all of you know what is dalchini. It is used as a spice, a very, very fragrant spice. So, with of course many medicinal uses also. It has not only a spice, but cinnamon is also, medicinally also it is important. So, this is obtained from the bark. Another one is Cinchona officinalis. Cinchona officinalis. So bark from this plant is medicinal. It is used for obtaining a drug called as quinine. Obtaining a drug called as quinine. So quinine is used for preparation of anti-malarial drugs. It is used for preparation of anti-malarial drugs. Anti-malarial drugs. Okay. With this I completed what is secondary growth. I have done this in two parts. In my first video you will find intrastellar secondary changes. This is my second video on the topic where I explained what are the extrastellar changes. Now a small topic is left in this chapter, that is secondary growth in dipod root. So that I will be discussing in my next video. Thank you very much children. Keep good health and keep preparing for your upcoming NEET exam. Thank you very much children.